Long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a while. What have you
I
been up to?
know. School.
School?
Yeah.
What courses are you taking right now?
Right now I'm taking horticulture, some law classes, and a lot of science stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, horticulture is cool.
It is. It is. I said I'm going to use my military benefits to the utmost.
Yeah. Yeah, I did the same thing with audio engineering.
mm.
Yeah.
How'd you like that?
It was good. It was good. I got a professional audio cert through Berkeley College. Um,
Ooh.
which was cool, and that helps me make books sound better. So,
Oh, you're just a jack of all trades.
yeah, a couple.
A couple. So, okay, you've been MIA for a minute.
Yeah, I've been kind of underground just recording.
Man, you stay busy. I
Yeah.
was looking at your catalog and I was like, I didn't even know he did these books.
Yeah. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I'm doing the last couple pickups, corrections, um, for Chantel Tessier. Um,
Really?
yeah, for Madness for that right now. So yeah, so that'll be coming out soon.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and then The Stars Are Dying. I That series is really great. Um, and I just did the second one, so I'm doing the last couple pickups for that one here in the next couple days. So yeah,
How's the family?
doing great. What's up, Zeno?
Oh,
Uh,
his
Doing
ass.
great. Little ones are growing fast.
That they always do. They
What
always
about you
do.
guys?
Huh?
How are you and yours doing?
Oh, they're doing good. My son just got orders to Germany. So he will be in Germany. My daughter, she just got accepted to Harvard.
No way. That's fantastic.
Yeah, she got accepted to a few schools
Yeah.
because I told her to go to community college first to get her feet wet and use that to pivot into the university. And because she stayed on the honor roll and did all the things she was supposed to do, she has Harvard, Brown, Howard, a lot of HBCU schools, a lot of Ivy League schools trying to get her.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, even overseas, she even has a school in Scotland, Edinburgh University or college or whatever it's called. Yeah, yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. I'm so excited for her.
Yeah, I think I'd be tempted to go to Scotland.
She is. She is, but I had to tell her, you're on mommy's time. So Scotland will be on me, not you.
Yeah.
So we will see. She's trying to talk me into either that or Germany, go to university over in Germany, but
Mhm.
because she wants to be with her brother. Because they're Irish twins. So one you can't see one without the other.
Yeah. Connected.
Yeah, so we're gonna see, you know what I'm saying? But all right, let's get into this interview. I am so excited to talk to you because I hadn't talked to you in so freaking long and I hadn't seen you online. But then again,
Yeah.
I'm barely online because of school. So introduce yourself, tell everybody who you are, what you do, and anything you want them to know before we start this interview.
Awesome. Well, I'm Corvin King. I am a narrator. I uh, started out in the on-camera scene, and then I just fell in love with audiobooks. So I do that primarily now. Uh, yeah, I specialize, I guess you could say, in dark romance. I am an audio fanatic. I I can't stop. Um, and let's see what else. I like doing different accents, and yeah, I think I would do this if it was free. So
Damn, now that's what you call I love my job.
yeah,
So let's get into some of the books before we get into your background. You did one of my favorite authors. and that was Kelly Finley.
Yeah,
You
she's
did
great.
Tempt Her, which is one of my favorite books. How was that? How was going into that? Because that's a whew.
Yeah, she writes spice, just top tier spice. So I think going into that, there was good humor and banter and everything, but I think the biggest thing was just the tension, and
Mhm.
she walks that fine line between, with the taboo elements, but also, you never feel like you feel filthy, but not dirty, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know, and so yeah, it was fantastic. There's so much tension. The plot's great and everything, but the spice is top tier.
My God, every book she has written has so much spice in it. It's beyond her. I talk to her, and her imagination is just wild. So, but you also did Heartless Heathens, which is another one of my faves.
Yeah, with Santana Knox.
Yes.
Yeah,
How was that?
that was great. I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan,
Mhm.
so getting to do Sonny, where he's a big Lord of the Rings junkie is great. Um, it was cool. I like doing books that have a message,
Mm.
and there's a strong message that comes through there. But Santana is great because she also writes dark brilliantly.
Yes.
And so that was really cool. I think kind of the interplay with innocence and desire was really cool in that book.
But you also did Kennedy Ryan. You did When You Are Mine and Loving You Always.
Yeah,
How was that?
that was great. Kennedy Ryan, needs no introduction. She's phenomenal. I love how she's able to um, write, and she has a lot of heart in her writing. It comes across very genuine, which
Mhm.
I appreciate. And so, even if she's writing stories that have some of those like hallmark elements that we
Mhm.
like, she still doesn't make you feel like sometimes I say, there are stories that are repeated often and they're kind of like a potato chip, where
Mhm.
it's like, it's good, you enjoy it. They're typically pretty short, but they're rather predictable. You don't reach into a bag to get another potato chip and expect anything other than the last thing you just had. But
Yeah.
she doesn't do that. She writes stories that still feel very much their own. Even if,
Mm.
some of the beats are familiar, it still feels very much like you went somewhere new. So I like that a lot.
I like that. I like how you described that. You also did Sick Boys.
Oh, yeah. Sick Boys was dark. Yeah.
So let me ask you this: how do you get into the place of this these dark characters, these dark, sexy, just crash out characters?
Mhm.
How do you get into the mind frame to do their voices and make it come off authentic like you do?
So, before before I came to do this, you have your real life, I guess. And
Mm-hmm.
I try not to pull too much from my real trauma, but I try to pull understanding from my trauma, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, like, a lot of the people that I grew up around would essentially just they'd be a dark romance guy. Like, my dad was a Green Beret, he was in a special mission unit.
Mm-hmm.
And so, a lot of the guys that I grew up around were that type of guy,
Mm-hmm.
like, so. And you end up spending a lot of time with guys that are like Delta Force, or from some of the different agencies, and so you see these people move in real life.
Mm-hmm.
And between that and helping a lot of my friends through a lot of dark places in the military and stuff, you
Mm-hmm.
develop an understanding and appreciation for trauma, for dark places, for
Mm-hmm.
people that are a blade incarnate, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so then when you're asked to be that person and you've seen those people move in real life, it hits different, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my son is on that route right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you encompass love in your when you're speaking these characters? Because even though they're dark, it's still romance. So
Hmm.
how do you encompass that love towards the female MC?
Um, so I have the benefit of having a phenomenal marriage.
Mm-hmm.
I am with my soulmate,
Mm.
and so like I have a deep understanding of at least my version of love. And
Mm-hmm.
everybody, everybody has a different relationship or, different ways that they pursue love.
Mm-hmm.
But I've gotten to experience love at a very, very profound level.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's easy for me to kind of replicate that in the character. And also, I've gotten to work with some of the best acting coaches around,
Yes.
and they, they the styles that I pursue for acting,
Mm-hmm.
you actually are feeling all the things that you're pretending to feel. And
Mm.
so those emotions are coming out in a very real way. And like it's funny because over the course of the story, a lot of times I'll feel protective or territorial towards the female main character as if she was actually mine, as if she was real, you know.
Oh.
And like there are times that I get so angry when something happens in the text that I have to stop recording for a second, get some water, like that kind of thing, because I'm feeling very real emotions.
Oh
Um,
shit.
and so that comes out, yeah.
So you have been acting as well, in which I wish that you could have been a character for the Brotherhood of the Dagger series, but that's not no here nor there. But I just see you as Rage, so um,
That'd be cool.
it would. You would have been perfect for that character. But so, how do you mix it? How do you go from acting to voice narration? How is it different and how is it the same?
So I guess it's all acting,
Mm,
fundamentally. One of the things that you notice is, in on camera acting, there's a lot of like, remembering your frame. You
mhm,
are not using your voice in these kind of exotic ways usually.
yeah,
On camera, you're fairly subdued because there's a lot of other things going on. And typically it's in these little short snippets. You're
mm,
doing this angle, and then you're doing this angle, and then you're doing this angle. Whereas with narration, it's not like that. It's this continuous stream of a story, and you don't have a camera looking at you. And
mm,
so when I started, sometimes things would be expressed on my face and not coming out in my voice. And I was like, oh, they can't see my face. They don't know what's happening unless it happens in my voice. And so you learn how to express your face with your voice, if that
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah,
Um, and so that's one of the big challenges. And like, you have your close up moments, and maybe your close up moment is getting really intimate, up close
yeah,
to the mic, that kind of thing. Um, but yeah, it's got some similarities. It's all acting. But I think the biggest thing is probably you're everybody. With on camera, normally you're just one person,
mm,
so you're like, hey, I'm me. And maybe in this case, I am thug number 5, right?
mm,
And, like, so you've got this very narrow expectation of what you're supposed to do.
mm,
When you're, you know, in a book, you've got all these different characters where you're, like this Russian vampire. And then, like, the next moment, you're like, hello, my name's Lenny. So it's just like you're jumping around. And I think the expectations for you to own everybody's creative journey throughout the series is a lot higher.
yeah. So, what is your favorite dialect that
My
you
favorite
use?
dialect.
Your favorite?
Oh man, I do really like Slavic. I think that that's fun. So like specifically the accent that I do for a series by Callista Neath is he's got a Georgian accent.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like this deep, smooth, kind of rich Slavic accent that's really cool. And it conveys immortality well. And I think part of that is because my little sister is a Russian linguist,
Oh,
and so like we also play around with different Slavic accents. You're like, I'm down here doing this like Georgian accent, right? And then like the next moment, she's like, all right, hit me with Moscow. And so I'm like, all right, maybe I'm farther forward like this. I'm doing this Russian accent, like farther forward in your mouth and a little bit sharper, smoother in some ways, and then also like a bit sharper with some more nasality in it. And she's like, oh yeah, that's Moscow. And then she'll be like, all right, now go like smoother and faster, kind of like this. And you're almost slurring your words a little bit, and that's like Ukrainian, And she's like, so we get to play around, and I enjoy that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That was so good.
Thank you. Yeah, but it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Now, what is the one character in all the books you have, and I'm giving you only one.
Okay.
Yeah. So what is the one character that you just love doing?
I think out of all of them, probably I'm gonna cheat just a little bit because just a little bit. You'll understand though, and I think you give it to me. You've got Rune and Vashki by Calista Neath, and they're technically in the same body.
Yeah.
And they're like two sides of the same coin, So,
that is so cheap.
I know, but they're a match set though. You know what I mean? Like you can't really have one without the other. They're bound at the soul in a way. So I think that playing those two off of each other in this duality, where you've got Rune and he has that deep Russian accent where he's this immortal vampire. Hello, my name is Rune Sakarli. I am the Lord of Hell. Right? And like then you've got Vashki, and Vashki's like, Polish fool, we could be fucking fair, but we're sitting here talking to people on a podcast. And so, you've got this cool tug of war between these characters. And I love that. And Rune is cool because like he doesn't inflect up usually, but he's still got a lot of nuance. And so it's a huge challenge on top of the fact that there's this accent. And then Vashki is like this feral beast.
How long did it take you to like get this down? Like,
I worked on them for a long time, and there was one scene, and I remember I was doing a directed session with the author, and there's this one scene where he screams in a Russian accent. He's like morbid. All right, I'm not gonna do it right now because I'll fuck up my voice, but it's this really intense scream in a heavy Russian accent. And it's the only time he loses control in the whole series, right? Where he breaks through in this like panic, and it's this moment that's really difficult. And so I nailed it first time out the gate. And then the author was like, how much time did you spend on that? I was like, hours every night. Literally, it was true. Because you have to learn not just how a character sounds, but how can you maintain that character.
Right.
Because you have all these vocal posture notes that make a character. And then when you go to push it, to redline it, all those things change, but you have to somehow make that evolving sound still be the same, person.
Yeah.
And like when you're taking this, this deep, like kind of reserved accent, and then you're forcing it out in this like crazy, broken way. That was one of the hardest things I've ever done. And so I realized that early on, and I was working on it for about 2 weeks before that line in the book. And the author was like, someone cooked here. And I was like, yeah, no, that was not the first time I've done that.
So what is the most difficult dialect for you?
The most difficult, I had a hard time with Scottish for a while. I was working on Scottish, and it was a bit difficult for me. And a lot of that is because I'd been spending so much time with Russian, and there are some notes where you're placing it further back in your throat as well. But you also have this forward, like dentalized portion, and it was very difficult to go from your Russian accent down here to your Scottish accent where you've got this forward placement as well.
Jesus,
So Scottish actually was very difficult for me.
Jeez Louise, my God. Okay, Corinne, you, like I said, you are the jack of all trades. I swear to God. So tell me, why has this been such a amazing ride for you as a narrator? And also tell me, why is it that AI is a big uh thing that is really harmful to narrators?
So I think it's been an amazing ride because, you know, we're in this extremely creative space with
Mm-hmm.
these amazing creative people.
Mm-hmm.
And I still remember the first time. I have it right here. This book is from like 1985. It's The Hero and the Crown. It was the first time I fell in love with strong female characters. It was the first time I felt completely sucked into a series, I mean, into a story, and felt like I couldn't get any air. I was just underwater, and submerged in this other world. And so I think, just books are incredible, but in this space, I happen to be very compatible with the idea of these strong female presences, and I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the other thing is, it's weird because this didn't go the way I expected. I was looking for something to do during the pandemic because I was like on the set of a Google commercial, and then we do all of a sudden you're locked up for 5 months, and I was like, oh my god. And my little brother was like, dude, you got to stop wasting away, like go to acx.com or something. I was like, what is that? He's like, it's where you go do books. And so I started doing that just because I was like, I have to act, I feel like I'm dying. And so I was doing that, and I was like, wait, I can be like a hot dragon? What? Like, yes, absolutely. So I started auditioning for that. And then I remember there was a moment I was doing motion capture training in LA. And I was like, I had auditioned for 4 books, and I got all 4 books. I was like, I need to slow down. And so I went to do those books, and I was like, I'm not going to audition for a while. I've got a lot on my plate. And then I started getting requests to audition. I was like, okay, I'll audition for the things that people request me specifically for. And
Mm-hmm.
but then I was getting all those. And then I was like, okay, like this is a lot. And so I started getting bestsellers. And I was like, well, I need to upgrade my thanks for the note about my hair. I need to upgrade my equipment to be able to, give this group of people something that the story deserves. Like, I need to make this sound in a way that does these really cool stories justice. So I started upgrading stuff, and then one thing kind of led to another, and now I'm kind of in this place where I'm doing as much work as I possibly can, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't like saying no. And I'm at the point where I'm having to start to say no, and I don't like that because like there's so many amazing stories,
Mm-hmm.
and there are people that have started to write stories with me in mind as the voice. And so like, I don't, hey Lo, I don't want someone to write this story with this idea of me narrating it, and then me not be able to take part in that and help finalize that creative vision for them. So a lot of work, but I guess it's almost like it just kind of got out of hand a little bit. And now I'm in my studio is 140 square feet. It's like it's not really a booth anymore.
No.
And like my gear looks like that. We won't talk about how expensive that was.
I
Uh,
bet.
but so it's cool. It's an embarrassment of riches. It's a great place to be. And then with narration and AI, you have all of that effort, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
going to college to learn how to do audio better, years spent training, acting, all the accents and all that work. And then you have people that are copying your voice, your pattern of thinking, your expressions, your idiosyncrasies that make you unique. And then they are using that without your permission to create more content for other people and for their own benefit. And I think it's a lot like having somebody, take pictures of you and then use it to create lewd art because it's got the same level of consent.
It does.
Well, I didn't say you could take pictures of me at the beach and then, put me in positions with these other people. That's what we're doing. That's what they're doing. Like they're taking my likeness, even a sampling of my mind because of the body of work that I have out now. I have hundreds of hours of audio out and probably thousands at this point. And, you can come up with a pretty sharp approximation of who I am. But then my family doesn't benefit. No one that I love or care about benefits. A shadow of me because that person will not pick up on that entity will not pick up on those little tiny moments. I had a teacher, and she was a dear friend, but she was also a world-class acting teacher. And that's not me saying that. She was internationally recognized as a world-class acting teacher, and her name was Wendy Ward. And she would always tell me, she's like, okay, that acting choice is justified by the text, but is it the most interesting thing you could do? And a computer doesn't think like that.
Right.
A computer doesn't look at text and go like, oh, he could say it that way, but what if we added some gravity to it? And all of a sudden that takes a completely different note. Even by emphasizing certain ways, like maybe I make it foreshadowing, or maybe I make it a callback earlier in the series by adding just a touch of gravitas to it so that it hangs up in your mind and calls to memory other things. I can reinforce the vision of the author because I can understand it instead of having a computer spit something out that sounds like Corvin King, So, yeah.
So let me ask you this: are we gonna get a sample today?
Sure. Yeah, I would love to do a sample. Do you have anything in particular that you would like me to read?
Last time I had you do Santana Knox.
Santana Knox is great. Let's see. I can narrate from Santana. I can narrate a bit from Molly Doyle. Like what would you like?
Something with an accent.
Something with an accent.
Yeah, something that
do...
is one of your favorite accents or an accent you like doing.
Okay, I could do a portion of Invoking the Blood.
Okay.
That would be fun. Let's see. You gotta pull it up.
Y'all, you're in for a treat.
Okay. Invoking the Blood by Callista Neath. I could do, let's see, A Trial of Lace and Bone. That's the second one. Return a book to continue. Fine.
You worse than me.
I know, right?
I just got through doing that.
Ooh, I could do... I'm going to do some of this one. I'm going to do some of Whispers in the Dark. Yeah, Whispers in the Dark. I'll have to change some words so that we don't get bananaed.
Yeah.
But let's see. What chapter shall I read from? This audiobook will be done soon. Let's see. Oh man, these are so good. I'm remembering all of these. And the titles are absolutely fantastic, like Blood and Whiskey, Kismet, Sparrow and Machine. That's cool. He's got like a hot Cockney accent. Yeah, these are so spicy. There we go. Okay. Okay. Here we go. You guys ready? If you think that there's anybody that would enjoy a bit of narration, go ahead and share it. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna I'll have to stop early on in this one. So this will have to be a short one because I Okay.
All right.
This is called His Dark Queen. It is a excerpt of Whispers in the Dark. This takes place between chapters 63 and 64 of Invoking the Blood. Vashki slowly unbuttoned his black dress shirt, contemplating all the ways he could make his queen beg before he allowed her to finish. He and the Shadow Prince had an agreement where they spent an evening or two every few weeks in Faye's company. While they could never be truly alone, he looked forward to his uninterrupted nights. Faye sat back on her heels at the center of their dark sheets, wearing the custom lingerie collar he'd selected for her. He hardened at the sight. The crimson leather suited her figure perfectly. The Shadow Prince would agree if he ever stopped lying to himself. Vashki admired the satin-topped black stockings held in place by a leather garter belt. He imagined beginning at her ankle and trailing teasing nips and kisses up his queen's stunning legs. But his dark eyes were drawn higher. The bra was the reason he acquired this collar in particular. The straps of supple leather looked more like a harness, outlining her high chest. He preferred his queen exposed and on display, and soon she would be breathless, pleading for him. His queen crawled to the edge of their bed as he approached. Her lightning-streaked midnight gaze flicked over his chest, trailing lower as he shrugged out of his tailored shirt. She settled to her knees, running taupe-colored nails under the edge of the blood-red collar as she glanced down at herself. This doesn't cover much. Vashki straightened the strip of leather. He ordered it specifically to lay flat against her collarbone, leaving the slender column of her neck bare for his fangs. You look beautiful, he said, leaning into her. The breathy sigh he adored slipped past her lips as he glided a single black-tipped claw down the front of her throat. Do you want to be tended to? Vashki asked as his touch slid past her shoulders, tracing the outline of her chest. He pinched the tip, tugging lightly as Faye's nails dug into his waist. Her lips parted and Vashki added pressure until she moaned against his mouth. Or fucked. Vashki finished with a smirk. She chooses the second one. Vashki purred as her lips brushed over his. He nipped her, not satisfied with his queen's answer. With what? Please, Vashki, Faye whispered, palming him through his trousers. He groaned, dragging her against him. The pulse point in her throat fluttered, making his fangs ache. Fuck me could mean any number of things, Vicinia. Do you want to lie back and spread your legs for me? Show me your pretty center while I handle you with my will. Should I buy you a harness to keep a replica of me deep inside you? There are even one spell to continue on their own. Would you like that? To be stretched as I ravage your mouth. A deep blush colored her cheeks, and Vashki seized on the scent of her heightening arousal. He stifled the urge to pin her beneath him and sink his fangs into her throat, drinking her as he took her with a long, hard. You like when I speak filth to you. Bashki purred in her ear. Tell me how you want it. But I'll buy you a harness and use my imagination. His queen gripped the front of his throat and ran the heel of her palm down him. Can't say that. Bashki tangled his hand in her hair, made a fist, and angled her head up. I want to feel your lips on me first. Be a good girl and show me how much you want it. His hand slipped from her hair and she eagerly reached for the closest pillow. He unfastened his pants, disrobing as she tossed the cushion to his feet. Faye lowered herself before him, calling to his vampiric instincts. She understood his craving for rough play. He needed to possess her. How he worships her even as she knelt before him, submitting to his will. She was the Dark Queen he waited his entire life for. And then we'll stop there.
Lord Jesus. That was good. That was good. Wow.
Yeah, he's a vampire. Yeah.
Wow. They said
So
the book name again.
that is Whispers in the Dark. It is a companion to the Invoking the Blood series. And what's cool about it is not only is it spice, it's spice with everybody's favorite characters, and the plot actually moves through the scenes. So if you listen or read this book, you will have a deeper understanding of what's happening in the main story as well. So yeah, Whispers in the Dark, and it is a portion of Invoking the Blood. Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. And there's great representation too. There's great representation. Calissaneath is BIPOC, which is really cool. And,
Jesus. Jeez, I gotta take off my glasses. Jesus.
yeah.
So, what about? Can I get one more?
Yeah.
Okay. What about? Can you do any Kennedy Ryan?
I would love to, but I can't. I don't own the rights, and I think Hachette Audio does.
Okay.
So yeah, I wouldn't want to. Hey, Kita.
Or Tempt Me?
Ooh, yes, 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 I could. That's Kelly Finley, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I spoke with Kelly about reading her stuff live, so we're good.
I love Kelly Finley. She is just so nasty. Hey, everybody that just came in.
Hey, what's up?
My job, this is an interview. It's just, I love Corbin's voice, so I'm asking for him to read.
Yeah, what the only thing I don't like about this kind of stuff, and I was actually looking for something that will be able to bring the quality of this entire setup to these live engagements.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Patrick? There it is, Tempt Me. And the thing that I wish is that I could pipe this in through, because like you guys are hearing me on a phone right now.
Oh wow.
Like on a phone. There are no words to describe the difference in quality between I mean I continually reinvest in the quality for my authors. And so you could, if you took my vocal chain, you could get a decent car. And that's just because I want you to hear all the little details. I don't want you to miss a thing. Yeah. So
you got it, Corey. Your voice, the way you can switch dialects and also bring the characters to the forefront is amazing. It's really amazing. And that's the type of narration that I like to hear, even though I'm not an audiobook girly, but when I do listen to an audiobook, that's what I would like to hear.
Let's see. Okay. Tempt Me. Now let's see. I need to read real quick. I'm going to go back and look at the... Okay. Oh, nice. Infamous playboy, arrogant jerk, and my new boss. Interesting. Beautiful, moody, demanding. Oh, this is fun. Yeah, let's do this. Okay. Let's see. Skipping to... Let's see. Double checking whose perspective this is.
Hey, Denise.
Hey, how's it going?
If any of the authors that are on here know that you can get Corvin for your books. And that's why I like having him read, because I just love his voice.
Okay, yeah, so I think it starts from the FMC's perspective. Let's see. Let's jump ahead a little bit. Okay, so it's Henry is the sexy guy about to be. He does have perspective stuff in this, right?
Yeah, something.
Excuse me. I think that this might all be from her perspective. Oh, wait. Tempt Me. I think that's K.A. Tucker.
What was the one from
Tempt Her.
Tempt Her? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have a relationship with K.A. to do that. But Tempt Me, yeah, is her. Tempt Her is Kelly Finley.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. That looks familiar. There we go. That makes more sense. Okay. Okay. Chapter 4. Mateo. Dragging the wet, white edge of my 2-inch angled tooth paintbrush, I don't need tape to cut in between the wall and the crown molding. It's the zen of painting. I love it. Tucking my earbuds in, I listen to audiobooks while I work. It keeps memories I don't want from sliding into my tormented mind. Lately, I've been getting into books on spirituality and health. Then twice, I downloaded erotic stuff at home, and now that's popping into my suggested downloads. But I don't need my getting hard at work. I work in people's homes all day, and I already get looks. Long black hair, light brown skin, tattoos. I love it all about myself, but like hell, I don't know the kind of world I live in. And lately, Ford's been getting jobs in politicians' homes. Once we did an excellent job in one house, word spread. Proof in that ilk of people, it's who you know, not what you know. Because what I know is there are some evil fucks in this world. The sad thing is no one's ever born that way. It takes evil to raise it. I've seen it my whole life. Heard it, tasted it, smelled it. Felt it in so many ways. I can't say that word. When you're born into two Brazilian parents who live in rural South Carolina, well, some things change while some people die trying not to. That's what makes this job so damn weird. I can't decide if fate's being cruel or kind, because Senator Gentry Evans is a certifiable dick. Never mind, that's not fair to dicks. No, he's truly evil, because he's powerful too. We all know how much money his family has. how they own half the rental condos on this vacation island, and he's now a hate-mongering politician. It seems, sadly, that's par for the political course in America these days. But what makes this job so weird for me is I kissed his beautiful wife. She was my first kiss. She was my best kiss. Dipping my brush into the paint, it makes me grin. It's one of those moments you never forget when you triumphed over the shitheads who hated you at school. At 15, I got to kiss Stacy James, the hottest girl in school. Back then, people called me MJ for Mateo Jr. It seemed Mateo was too exotic for the teenagers of Bluffton, South Carolina. But my friends were all right. Brody Abbott being my best friend those days. When Brody's parents were at work one summer day, we hung out with his sister and her friends. One of the girls suggested we play 7 Minutes in Heaven. And when Stacy James spun the cheerwine bottle and it landed on me, fuck yes, it felt like heaven. But first, dread drenched my armpits. I thought a girl like Stacy, all blonde and blue-eyed and looking like a Barbie doll, she'd never want to kiss a brown boy like me. That she'd make an embarrassing scene about it. But she smiled, stood up, took my sweaty hand, and led us into the dark laundry room in Brody's basement and closed the door. I waited for her to bail or peck my cheek to be polite and call it done. I gave her an out. You don't have to do it if you don't want to. But she asked, "What's your name again?" Her voice was so sweet, and I got so hard. Thank God it was a dark room. MJ. My fucking voice cracked as I answered her, and she didn't mock that either. I haven't been kissed before, MJ. Me neither, I confessed. Do you wanna? Yes, she replied while her heat neared my body. You're really cute. Like, super hot. I don't know what came over me, but after watching so many telenovelas with my sisters, I copied what I'd seen on the screen. Reaching through the darkness, I found her cheeks before gently sinking my hands into her long strands. Damn, her hair was silky. I made her sigh, and that made me even harder and more nervous, searching for her lips in the dark. I think she mistook my hesitation for seduction because she wedged into me, feeling how hard I was for her under my basketball shorts. It made her softly gasp as my lips finally found hers. So I went slow. I was gentle. Hell yes. I was kissing Stacy James. And then it was much more. Her kiss tasted like peaches. Her mouth was as sweet as her trust in me. So I dared to find her tongue with mine, carefully seeking it. And she tongued me back. I didn't know I could groan like that at 15. I didn't know girls would grab me back like that. I didn't know how lust takes over. That's when you're actually with another person. It's so intense, so much better than getting off by yourself. It made me dizzy, losing my mind and almost my balance. The way Stacy rubbed her body against mine with her incredible breasts and that sexy baby t-shirt, showing off the peaks of her belly. I'll never forget how when I reached down and caressed her hips, instinct had me grinding my swollen into her, and she moaned into my mouth. I was taller than she was. My stiffness against her belly making her moan, and suddenly I panicked. She was making me ready far too fast. It fucking terrified me. I tried stopping it, but God, she sighed against my lips, rubbing that body on me again, and I lost it. Right there, with my mouth gasping into hers. The embarrassment was murder. It was on my shorts and her belly. Shit. I'm sorry. I'd never survive it. I didn't need another reason to be different, to be ridiculed. It's okay, she whispered. No, I'm sorry. Here. She got clever, reaching behind us and fumbling until she found the dryer sheets. We'll use these. I had no choice but to take her suggestion. Sorry, I muttered again, cleaning myself off while she did the same. The fire in my cheeks was painful. I wanted to throw up. I dreaded walking back outside where all our friends would know, then the whole school would, and fuck, my life was over. Of all people, I came on the hottest girl in school. I won't tell anyone, MJ, I swear. Stacy caressed my arm and kept her word. That afternoon, that summer, the whole next year in school, she tried talking to me again, but I avoided her. I was a dick to her, but still, she protected me. I struggled to get my pride back. Then finally, she gave up on me before I moved to a different high school the following year. That was so long ago, and I don't look like that innocent boy. But I knew the moment we showed up whose house we were painting. Stacy James went on to be a local legend, a beauty queen. Around town, most girls talked shit about her, while most guys wanted to fuck her. It was no surprise when she married into one of the wealthiest families in Hilton Head. It was no shock when her husband became a state senator with her on his arm. Her beauty won his elections, trumping his arrogance. But what I still can't understand, from when she opened the door to us yesterday with tears in her eyes, when I can tell she's still the same sweet girl who'd never hurt people, why is she still married to one of the wickedest men I've ever heard of? Ford clocked it the minute we left their house yesterday. I don't know what the fuck bothered him so much. I mean, the guy is former military and a hard ass, but deep down, Ford's good. Like way down once you get past all his broken baggage. He's got a heart of gold. I love the guy. But he was a total dick about Stacey Evans. Driving back to our place in the van, he warned, I don't give two fucking shits how smoking hot that woman is. Don't even think about it. Don't even let her tingle your dicks. You stay the fuck away from her. Dude, Luke laughed from the back seat. Like we'd fuck a client. Ford snarled. Like a client has ever looked like that. Like any woman looks like that. Sounds like you're the one who won't be able to stay away from her. I was joking with Ford and it went over like a fart in church. The fuck I will, Ford snarled. Her husband married her for a reason, and he's got millions of them to fuck your world over if you go near his wife. Luke laughed again. The fucker finds humor in everything. I love that about him. She ain't a fucking trophy we're gonna steal, man. And we ain't zit popping, cock jerking dickweeds who can't control our boners anymore. We got discipline. Luke let it hang for a second. And you know it. I'd never seen Ford drive so fast, like something was chasing him inside. And just to fuck with him, I kissed her. I said, and the motherfucker slammed on the brakes. Thank fuck we were on the side of the road and not the highway. The fuck? When I was 15, man, I started rolling. She was my first kiss, but she doesn't recognize me, so chill. How was she? Luke taunted, only pissing Ford off more. Fucking hot as hell, I answered. She made me come in my shorts and didn't rat me out. She never told anyone. Slamming down the gas pedal, Ford muttered, We're so fucked. We're painting her fancy house for some fancy party, Luke said. Relax, dude. That's all it is. It's not her house, Ford seethed. It's his house, and she's Mrs. Gentry Evans, just like she said. You hear me? That's what you call her, or the trusty old yes ma'am. Don't give that piece of shit husband of hers one reason to be jealous, or we'll get new assholes the size of Texas. Sounds fun, Luke teased again, and I kept laughing. Keep it up. Ford fought the smile behind his beard, and I'll show you fun when we get home. Luke's tone dropped. Promise? Still, I could tell something's bothering Ford. Yesterday and this morning with Stacy, he's acting weird. He goes from professional to a powder keg around her. The sexual tension between them is a fucking propane leak about to explode. I'll call it right there.
Yo. Yeah. 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 So let me ask you this. How do you maintain your voice? How do you maintain being able to switch in lower ranges and higher ranges without hurting your throat?
Yeah. So some of it is pretty standard. Some of it's maybe a little less standard. So I do a lot of low larynx exercises. So where like you kind of sound silly. It's like, oh, I've got this low larynx sound. And what it's doing is it's keeping your Adam's apple, if you have one, I guess. It's training your body essentially to not bring your larynx up,
Mm,
um, because that squeezes your vocal cords and it prevents you from relaxing.
mm,
And then a lot of it is maintaining proper air support. So um, there's a lot of vocal science and everything, but I use this teeny tiny little straw. You see how small that is?
yeah.
And I'll practice doing scales and things through this little tiny, barely see it straw. And that trains my diaphragm. And oh, cool, that's awesome, Hero. Um, that trains my diaphragm to be able to support my voice throughout the range.
Mm,
And then a lot of it is just, staying hydrated, obviously, but keeping honest. When you can feel your vocal cords inflaming, you
mm-hmm.
stop so you don't get scarring. And,
Mm,
having the communication to go like, hey, I'm losing my voice. I'm going to need one more day. You never want to do that, obviously, but,
yeah.
you know, there are times when you have to. So,
So, how important is diversity in being a voice actor and just not sticking to one type, but how important is to have diversity in being a voice actor?
you mean diversity as far as roles or diversity as far as representation?
Representation.
Representation. So I think that there are some interesting considerations, because you write stories, and stories are composed of all these different people, and one person can't be everybody. And so if you want, that's awesome, Hero. Uh, if uh, if you want a diverse story, then you either have to have a multicast, or
Mm,
you have to have somebody who is acting outside of their ethnicity.
mm,
And I think that's okay. Um, what really matters is when you figure out what is important to have people tell themselves, you
mm,
know? So, like, it's okay for me to be, a Chinese man who is, owning a barbecue joint. That's
mm,
fine, because it is not harmful for me to seek to accurately represent that person and that
mm,
perspective. If I was talking about something that is happening within China, or something that is maybe um, a common trial or whatever that people might experience, you know, from a specific people group, then that's not my story to tell. And so then it's important that someone who can tell that story honestly and give it the
mm,
nuance it deserves tells that story. Um, and so I think it's important to use judgment to know when it's not your story to tell and when it is.
mm.
Um, but I get to be a dragon, right? I'm not a dragon, but I get to be a dragon,
Yeah.
and so that's just to illustrate you get to be these things that you're not, and that's part of the joy of voice acting.
Mm,
But you have to know when it's not appropriate,
mm,
and so I think that adding diversity, that's why we have multicast, right?
mm-hmm,
And so it's just kind of a logical extension of that.
mm,
You have different vocal textures, you have all these different things, and some of those vocal textures are typically tied with certain people groups. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm,
And that's really cool. And I think in seeking to add depth and richness to a character, you will naturally, and to a story, you will naturally add diversity.
yeah.
Um, so yeah.
So how is it work? What is the difference between working with indie authors and working with traditionally published authors? How's that process for you?
So it's different for every contract, really.
Mm-hmm.
Well, unless you're like, if I'm working with Podium or something, for example, you certainly have a predictability there. But every time you have a new client, it's different.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have different different audio requirements. You'll have, for how they like their audio. You'll have different, kind of director notes. A lot of times with indies, you actually get more information on the story than you do with trad or with studio projects. Um, and so it's really interesting. Typically, you also have more communication between you and the author. You
Mm.
almost never get to talk to the author when you're doing studio projects. You just
Really?
have to, yeah, you just have to do research and try to mirror their intent to the best that you can. Whereas when you do indie, a lot of times I can sit there and talk with the author and be like, hey, tell me about this guy. And just
Mm.
listen to them talk for 10 or 15 minutes about a specific character. So that's its kind of like own joy, you know?
Yeah.
I would say studios are typically more hands off until they're not. I did a project, and like I understand it was a huge book. It's like a huge New York Times bestseller, and the studio had an engineer sitting in there with me at like the entire time. They controlled my computer, right? So
Jeez.
yeah, all I did was read the script. That was it. They did everything else, and so that's very distinct. You know, but I would say speaking in generalities, you typically get more information working with indies. You
Yeah.
get to talk to them more. When you're doing studio projects, it's a lot more about coordinating with your co-narrator or narrators than it
Mm.
is about coordinating with the author. So, you're trying to pick up on clues and share your thoughts and work together to try to create the best project possible, you know. But you don't really have the author, in conversation normally.
Mm.
So that's maybe the biggest difference.
Okay. So, how would an author get in contact with you? How will they um, get in contact with you for their work?
Um, so I have my email, which is Corvin King VO. So just take my name and add VO to the end at Gmail. And that is a way to get in contact with me. And you may get my PA, depending on what I'm doing at the moment. I may be, like deep in a recording cycle, but and then we kind of discuss whether I'm the right fit for your project, and yeah, and then
So,
work on
so
it.
what is before we get out of here? What is the genre that you have not done? Because you've done a lot of genres. So, what is the genre, and what is the trope that you are just dying to do?
Mm, I don't know that there's a trope I haven't done. I like literally if I mean I've done somewhere over 100 books. That's a lot of tropes, you
Yeah.
know. That's a lot of tropes. I can't think of a trope I haven't done. For genre within romance or outside of romance.
Outside, inside, it doesn't matter.
I would love to do a high fantasy that's just fantasy. I think that would be
Mm-hmm.
really cool. Because I love my first love was fantasy,
Mm-hmm.
and I one of the things I love about romance is that I can explore most other elements um, of literature
Mm-hmm.
with a romance twist. I just did an alien romance. It's sci-fi. You know, it's sci-fi romance. I just did. I'm always doing romantasy, so I get to have my romance and my fantasy at the same time. I
Mm.
think what I really like about fantasy is the world building and the complexity. And
Mm.
I think that specifically with high fantasy, if you're trying to hit relationship beats as a
Mm-hmm.
primary focus, then it's hard to make the world as complex,
Mm.
you know? And so I think that if I was going to do one thing that I haven't done, it would be a high fantasy.
Mm.
It's just high fantasy. That's not to say without like doesn't have to say, without romance elements and stuff. I think that that's an
Yeah.
important part of a story because as humans, we love, you
Yeah.
know. But I think, there's a difference between a story that has relationships in it and a story that's about the relationship,
Hmm.
you know? And
I,
so I would like to do a rich fantasy that has relationships in it.
hmm.
Yeah.
I actually would love to see you. I don't think you've heard of her, but you might have. Her name is Mo Flames,
Hmm.
and she has this romantic suspense series called the Moverse, and she has this family called the Morettis, and it's like they're lawyers, but they're like badass BDSM type crazy
Yeah.
off the rip people. I would love for you to be one of the Morettis
That would be so much fun.
because the Moverse is so it's like so many plots and twists and suspense in it that I could yeah I could see you
That
as
would
one
be
of the Morettis.
that would be so much fun.
So
I love doing stories where you have complex characters. You can really
oh,
sink your teeth into it.
yeah, they're complex because I don't know how many times I have text her or called her like, "Are you fucking for real?" Yeah. Yeah, even Shannon said it. Yeah. He would make amazing Moretti. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be so much fun.
But with that being said, can we get a rundown of what we can look forward to in the upcoming year or this month? Not nothing long, but books that you have coming out as a narrator.
Okay. Oof. The Artifacts of Uranos series just wrapped. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually in that with Sonila Nankani and Shane East, who are phenomenal. I am finishing up a project with Shane East production company called The Shadows Return. That's a military romance. That one's cool. I actually finished recording that last night. Um, let's see what else. Madness by Chantel Tessier is coming out. And that's I helped narrate that. The Stars Are Dying is out, but it's The Night Defying is
Mm-hmm.
the second installation of that. That one was great. Everybody loves that one. That one was, I think, number 6 New York Times. So it was on a couple different New York Times lists. So yeah, that one's really good if you like romantasy. And man, I've got so many coming up.
I see
Uh,
you have to that. Corby, you be acting like I be putting you on the spot.
yeah, I mean, it's because like I'm just proud that I can string sentences together.
Because you always working.
I know I'm cooked. I
You're always fucking working. But I do appreciate you. I love your voice. I love the fact that you are hardcore into what you do and you enjoy it. Um, like I said, I would love to see you as in as a Moretti because D. Lewis just came in here. He's a narrator for Mo.
very
In
cool.
a few of her books. So I would love to see you as Moretti. But like I said, hell, it's a few books I would love to see you in. So I'm gonna have to like get in people DMs like, look, I got somebody for you.
I appreciate that so much. I absolutely um love coming into a series, and there's already so much love for it.
Mm. Oh
And
yeah.
part of what's so cool about it is when you come into an established series,
Mm-hmm.
you can look around and there's so much information and analysis that's already been done by the community.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can read people's thoughts and you develop this deep understanding of the characters before you start narrating.
Yeah.
And that gives you a chance to kind of come into it confident that you understand who you are.
Yeah.
And I really like that. So yeah, one of my favorites is you'll have 3 or 4 books already out, and it's your perspective coming up. And
Yeah.
so you do your perspective book, but you get to listen to everyone's thoughts on everybody else. That's really cool.
I like that. So Corbin, I'm not gonna have you too long, but it won't also take me another year before I ask you for an interview. But life was life, and I've wanted to talk to you earlier this year, but school was kicking my ass.
Oh, I feel that. I got you.
It was kicking my ass. So once again, I appreciate you so much. And could you tell them your socials so they can follow you? And yeah,
Yeah, so I'm Corvin King. You can find me as Corvin King or Corvin.King on Instagram and TikTok. I don't do Reddit. I don't really do X. Um, yeah, and you're gonna see primarily posts on just projects that I'm doing right now. Hopefully next year I can have a little bit more breathing room. But right
yeah,
now it's just, the work itself, which is, I mean, I guess at its core, that's the most important thing, right?
yeah.
I love talking about the work, but the work itself is what really drives our community. So,
And you also, I wanted to put this in your ear. There is a film company, indie film company, that is on here. One is an author. She has a partner. Her name is Rowdy Gunshy Film Productions. They are taking indie books and turning them into web series and indie films to put into competitions. So that's just something to look out for because they are going to start looking for actors and narrators and stuff like
that's awesome. I would love to do something like that. It sounds like a blast.
that. Yeah. So once again, thank you so very, 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 very much. And for everybody on here, I will be doing reviews tonight, finally. But thank you, and I appreciate you, and you have a good weekend.
You too.